And there's a Guildhall mentioned here in the 13th century, somewhere, or the common hall somewhere on this site. This is the 1440s and 1950s building that's behind me. But if you stood here in the mid-15th century, you would have come through the massive and probably quite impressive Guildhall gateway, which is more or less the same plan as a mansion house today, into the Guildhall yard or garth, and there was kitchens possibly along that side. There's butteries and pantries, stabling, and some sort of building here, although we don't quite know what it was. So it's quite a busy and an important area, because if you ever seen the wagon trays or the mystery clays, they would actually end up in this yard for the Lord Mayor and his brethren to watch the first floor windows and balcony at the back of the gatehouse. Unfortunately, as you know, the gatehouse is gone because they've gone to put the mansion house sat bang on top of it. But we're going to go down the lane, which is through that door. And to give you an idea, top of the arch, you can see peeping over the top of the path is where we'll be going.
No words to say.
Be careful when you go down, the path will probably be slippy. If you feel anything furry run over your feet, don't look down, this is probably a rat. And
Haha. You're lovely.
Where do you think the York sausage shop gets its meat?
Lovely.
That's why the bacon's going around the corner there, isn't it? That's quite bacon, just like next door.
will the last person down close the door? In case we find a load of Japanese tourists following us down. Kind of stay in the middle.
Wouldn't be able to get even, would you?
When a little garden and rockery is a good idea.
No, logging here would be impossible.
Wow, I'm waiting for.
Hey, you stand up a bit more. Not just give it, let's just stand up. Gareth.
So, if we stood here 1,000 years ago or more, this road is basically a continuation of Stonegate to the Minster. If you could take those steps away, you would be walking up the ramp where Lendal Cellars is, and it's a continuation. So it's straight the way down. This was a public right of way until about the 1880s. So essentially anyone who had land onto Common or onto Stonegate could actually use this as a landing and a right of way. And I suspect that's why when the council rebuilt the Guildhall, they're building over the lane, they can't move it anywhere. So it's just kind of a bizarre concept that the council's premier building is sat above a lane that anyone can actually use. But we're now actually under the medieval Guildhall itself. Behind me is possibly a doorway or maybe a window that gave light or access to the basements and cellars of the Guildhall itself. Blocked up in 1649 because the cellars were down, it's quite dark. I'm standing where in 2012 York Archaeological Trust did a test pit for us. Lots of mix-up debris because unfortunately at some point a great big drainage pipe down the middle. But what we did find that this pier here that supports the columns of the main hall itself, and about that depth, it's sat on a very nice decorative plinth. So we know roughly the medieval surface at this point is about that far down. Now behind you, and as you go down, you'll notice recesses in the wall. Here it's being blocked up. But originally, these were open and would let light into the passageway. Now this is quite interested where you guys are, because therefore the medieval level is approximately that far below where we are now. So if the river bank has kept its gradient all the way through, I suspect it's quite a long way down the medieval layers. Now we know that these windows were starting getting blocked up in the 16th century, late 16th century, because the chap who had his house where the post office is today, he's raising the level of his land to make it flat rather than a gradient, and council are complaining because that means that water is coming into the lane and blocking natural light. So if we go a bit further down, the one that's still got a shutter on, any idea what that was? Hopefully a rattle will jump out. Any idea? See what I mean by the window levels? Any ideas? Any? Sorry? Any idea what the wooden? I know what it is. That's what if you guys might have. Any idea? It's a fridge. The Guildhall caretaker. This was their fridge. So I interviewed a chap who was born in the Guildhall, and he was here when he was born. And he asked if it was still here, and as you can see, as you can feel, it's quite cool down here. And as we'll go further down, you can actually get out onto the little landing as well. But if you look to your right, you'll see other recesses where the windows were, and then bigger arches which were cellars, which fed the only cross of medieval buildings as well. You can go out. This is all the full access.
Get a good old smuggler's trade working again up here. Where we need cigarettes.
How you got nothing to do with it, Mum?
When I say I'm going down, Mum knows what I'm doing.
Gareth, can you take my... Don't drop my camera.
Obviously, be
Do you want them
careful of the ledge. It's uses very forgiving.
and go up those steps and have a look because I didn't get a chance to.
Be careful, they're very slippy.
Yeah.
No. Oh.
So many good messaging in. So apparently,
Well, I'm not holding you while you're here.
Yeah.